guys. So, what we're going to do today is just thought we'd take a look at what I picked up just this past, I think it's just this past week, maybe 2 weeks of just my regular pull list at my comic book shop here. They had a flash sale yesterday, which was 75% off, but I didn't really want to justify going over there and, going through everything. It was a little late at night, and I didn't want to run over there at 6 p.m. and spend too much money. So figured, I think they have a Thanksgiving, they'll have a Black Friday sale, and they'll probably have, honestly, like 2 or 3 sales before we even get to Christmas. So I figured I have plenty of time. So this pickup, it doesn't include this past Wednesday. I haven't been over there. I was busy at work, so I didn't get a chance. And it also doesn't include the most recent issue of Conan, because I happen to read that, so I have it somewhere else. So first one here is just the Batman Annual. I'm not normally a fan of the annuals, but since it was being written by Tom King, who's writing the ongoing, I figured I'd pick that one up. Normally the annuals to me are just, they end up being an extra $1. They're a little bit longer, but a lot of the times it's out of continuity, and most of the time too it'll be like a different writer on there, different artist, just to mix things up. So honestly, when that week, because especially for DC it tends to be like annual week, when that week comes up I do tend to pass on them. So but picked up Batman here. Looks like a cool cover. Haven't really heard anything about it, so I don't know what it's about, but I trust Tom King, so we'll go ahead and give that a look. Next one here is Justice League Dark. I've been picking this up. If you don't know, it's the Justice League like Magic. I think this is like the second or third Justice League Dark series that we've had. This one has Wonder Woman and Zatanna, Swamp Thing, Detective Chimp, and Man-Bat as the main crew. And they'll throw in like Constantine and stuff here and there. So I've been picking it up. It's been pretty interesting. I like a lot of those characters, so I've been giving that a pull. This next one, which just finished up, I believe it's finishing up, is Silver Surfer Black. I got the Guardians of the Galaxy, I think, annual, where a lot of the space heroes for Marvel got pulled into a black hole. This is like a continuation of Silver Surfer's story for that, so they've had a mini-series going, and Donny Cates tends to do good work, and Silver Surfer just in general is always a interesting character, so I figured, I'll pick up the mini-series. I haven't started reading any of it yet. I figured I'd do it all at one big run, so I'm just waiting for, I think it's 6 issues, so just waiting for the last one of those. This is Fantastic Four Grand Design. If you've picked up any of the XMen Grand Design by Ed Piskor, I just like the style of those. They're incredibly dense, because it's like 20 years of stories wrapped into one big 50-page book. This is Fantastic Four. This is by Tom Scioli, so he's a different artist, but same type of idea, kind of like they get an independent comic book or just comic artist in general, and they let them go nuts on a big chunk of Marvel history. So interested to see what this one looks like. The Ed Piskor stuff on X-Men was really super stylized and weird, not what you would normally get in a Marvel comic, so I like that. This is Hellboy and the BPRD. Saturn Returns, number 3 of 3. I haven't read 1 or 2 yet, but I pick up basically everything Hellboy and BPRD, especially now that BPRD, the series itself, has ended. Just a few months back, they did the final issue for that, and I didn't even know it was the final issue. There wasn't really much fanfare. Tried to go back to the comic book store like the next day and get another issue or two just to save, but they were all out. Everybody must have thought the same thing. So now it's Mike Mignola tends to be doing these little kind of flashback vignette type series where it's 3 or 4 issues of, they had the 1950s issues for a while there, and now he's got some other ones going on. Oh, yeah, this must be a couple weeks worth, because this is another issue of Justice League Dark. This is the variant cover. Hopefully it's not. Hopefully I didn't pick it up twice. I'll have to check that. Normally my store is pretty good at just putting one cover in my box, and if I want to switch it out for the variant, I have to go pick it up from the piles myself. Oh, yep. This is the same issue as that last one. It's just a variant cover, so I probably went to the store and just didn't realize that it was the same issue. Sometimes if I'm going and looking through the racks, if it's a variant cover on the stands and they haven't remembered to take down the new sign, or if I forget that I purchased it, I might pick it up. So this is Action Comics by Brian Bendis. I've always been a fan of Bendis. I know some people don't like his work, but I've always liked. I know it's very drawn out a lot, but overall I like his dialogue and where he takes things most of the time. This one has the Red Cloud and Naomi. I'm not reading Naomi. I'm picking up his Superman and his Action Comics, but and also Young Justice. But this particular character, I don't need another comic in my life. Even if it is a writer I like, I don't need a new character at this point if they don't really jump out at me. This is Amazing Spider-Man number 32. I'm super behind on Amazing Spider-Man. I think it's been twice monthly for a while now, so I started picking it up again when Nick Spencer came on. I know everybody hated his Captain America. I didn't read it myself after about issue 2, but when he came on Spider-Man, they did a new number 1, and then they had Ryan Otley from Invincible come on for the artwork. So Ryan Otley has some great looking stuff, and I figured it'd been a while since I picked up Amazing Spider-Man, so I've been picking that up. I just finished reading the Hunted storyline last night, which I think was issue 23, and then there's like an epilogue issue I have to get to, but so I'm a good 9 issues back on this. I'm hoping to catch up soon and see if I need to keep getting it, or if it's something that I can drop. I'm trying to, let things go that I don't read regularly. So, but I hadn't been picking up Amazing Spider-Man for most of the slot run. I didn't like his stuff. It was too. I just thought he was writing Spider-Man for like 13-year-olds who had seen the movie, it was always way over explained, and he'd have, I know the Stan Leeism of, every comic is somebody's first, so, try to let people know what's going on, but Dan Slott had entire, pages where it was just ridiculous, redundant exposition. I remember when I really was done with it, I had been picking up the Superior Spider-Man, just because it was something new. But then after that, they had the Spider Island crap, and they had a whole, 3 or 4 panels, or no, pages of, Spider-Man and Doctor Strange talking, and it was like, oh, I did a magic spell so people would forget who I was, and it was just so redundant and unnecessary for any of us who had been reading Spider-Man for any length of time. It was, and people don't, when you're having a conversation, you're not just blurting out exposition like that. I just found it so ridiculous. So, it'd been a while since I was reading Spider-Man. I just waited till Dan Slott got off of it. And I don't dislike Dan Slott. I thought his Silver Surfer was great. But the Spider-Man work, he was on that book for so long, and I just could not do it. So, this one's the Aquaman Annual. Like I said, I don't normally pick these up, but it is by DeConnick, who's writing the ongoing, and I do try to. Aquaman's one of those characters that I try to support. I find that, I don't know how that sounds, but I always think his book is probably not doing super great. Obviously they're trying to get some eyes on this from the movie, because they got him all looking, he's still blonde, but they have him with the long hair and the beard like Momoa in the movie, and they have him bare-chested with these tattoos like the movie, so, I like my Aquaman to look like the classic look, but, maybe they're just trying to keep his series afloat, because people tend to run out of things to do with Aquaman after a while. This is the Avengers. I haven't read an issue of Avengers since War of the Realms, so I'm super behind. But I've been picking it up because it is Jason Aaron, so it can't be bad. And look, it's got all the Ghost Riders, so that should be interesting at least. That's one of the comics that's kind of on the border for me. I might drop it eventually, or if Jason Aaron drops off and they don't get somebody big, I'll probably drop it, just because I haven't been keeping up with it, but, this is Batman Superman number 3. I haven't read 1 or 2 yet. Like I said, I'm a bit behind in my reading. It's by Joshua Williamson, he's okay sometimes. His Flash stuff is kind of hit or miss for me. I recently dropped Flash from my pull list, but with Batman Superman, I knew they were going to have an evil Shazam show up and have some fights there, so I figured I'd give it at least a few issues and see if I like it. So this is a Year of the Villain special for Black Adam. I'm not sure of the team here, Jenkins and Miranda. I'm not familiar with those names. The cover's all obviously John Romita Jr. And Black Adam's just awesome. So I've liked him from the Shazam comics, obviously, and then also he was a big part of the Jeff Johns JSA run. He was actually on the JSA for a while, and it's just a cool character if they do him correctly. So here, I give that a look. Here's Detective Comics 1014. I'm behind on this too. That'll be the ongoing theme here. But Peter Tomasi and Doug Mankey, who are the mains on this, they do great work, and Honestly, if they weren't on Detective Comics, I'd probably just be reading Batman and not bother picking it up. But once they got on Detective, they, they really brought that book up. So if you're not reading Detective, Tomasi does some great stuff with Batman, and it's well worth the buy. Here's Immortal Hulk 25. If you're not reading Immortal Hulk, it's great, especially the first 10 issues. It was very horror movie. Hulk only comes out at night because officially Bruce has been killed, and Hulk basically, Hulk ain't dead, so they're treating him almost like a horror movie monster. And the first few issues are very, I love the classic Hulks from the 60s where he would land after his last adventure somewhere, having, leaped away. He'd turn into Bruce Banner. Bruce would wander around, get into some incident, or find out something was going on where he had landed. The Hulk would, come out, deal with the issue, and then leap away, and then next issue would be, kind of the same thing. I like how Al Ewing kind of did that same thing, but in a more horror movie vein. Every issue was, Hulk wakes up somewhere. Or I should say, Bruce wakes up somewhere. He gets into some sort of issue, and then all of a sudden the Hulk comes out at night, like Freddy Krueger or something, and deals with it. So this one is King Thor. I haven't read the first issue yet. I just finished up reading the regular Thor because they just ended it with I forget which issue it was, but they just ended Jason Aaron's run on regular Thor. I'll do air quotes on that because it just led directly into King Thor, and he's been, if you've read Thor by Jason Aaron, he does tend to bounce around. He'll show young Thor, he'll show old Thor, he'll show the end of time, back and forth all over the place. So it's not like it's some new idea or something totally separate from his Thor run. I mean, old King Thor has been in his run throughout. So this is Bloodshot number 2. I haven't read number 1 yet. I need to do that. I like the new Valiant stuff. If you watch Chicho here on YouTube, he's a huge Valiant guy. I started picking up some old Valiants because he was so energetic about it, and also some new Valiants. The XMen War run by Matt Kint recently was just great. And now they're redoing Bloodshot, mostly because of that Vin Diesel movie that's coming out. So Tim Seeley and Brett Booth. I saw an interview with Tim Seeley. He was talking about what his Bloodshot was going to be like, and it was, he was basically just saying it was going to be action-packed, high adrenaline, go, go, go. So I figured I'd check that out, and it's always nice to support one of the smaller companies like Valiant. Last one from this past week, this is Hellboy and the BPRD Long Night at Glowski Station. They tend to do these Halloween one-shots every year. Mike Mignola also does he'll normally do like a Christmas one-shot, which they're always a little interesting. So, as I said earlier, I pick up anything with Hellboy on it. His artwork is just amazing. It's so, it's to an extent it's simple. I mean, if you really look at it, he's not using a whole bunch of lines and cross shading or anything. It's just so identifiable, his style. Like I'll pick up XMen classics from the bins, because on XMen Classic, if you haven't looked through those old issues from like the 80s, Mike Mignola did covers for a lot of those, and they're just amazing. It's totally his style, and it's X-Men and like dark shadows and simple line work, and it's worth the cover price just to have those covers. I went to local boutique store that we have over here that has a whole bunch of little dealers in one big space, and I came across these. I'll always pick up Morbius because when I was growing up and I got my uncle's comic book collection, it had a few of these, and I mean, Morbius is just cool looking. I love this era of comics, you know, the 25 cents, late 60s, early 70s issues. So I picked up a couple of these. I think I owned that one already. This one that he had, I don't think I have. Probably about 8-9 months ago, I did go on eBay and pick up a pretty big, well, not big because there weren't really that many issues, but I picked up about 8 or 10 Morbius Adventure into Fear issues that one seller had. Just trying to make sure I had all of them because these are hard to find if you, at least for me, if I go to my local comic shop, they don't really have much in the Adventure into Fear part of the pull boxes, so picked these up. I actually might go back today because they had a couple issues of Tuma Dracula, and my wife was with me. She didn't really want to wait as I looked through the comic bins, so but that's it for today, guys. Hopefully I'll be a little bit more on the ball as far as videos. I was just super busy this past week and ended up not having any free time whatsoever, so hopefully we'll catch up here. Okay, later.